Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Into the Paranormal podcast with your hosts, Corey Bean and Kevin Leonard from the Coastal Atlanta Paranormal Association. And we want to welcome you as we journey into the paranormal.
Yes, and we're definitely excited to be here. And I know we've had this in the works or wanted to do this for a long time. Uh, and here we are, finally with the chance to do that. And hopefully everyone watching will get something out of it as we will as well. As we kind of delve as we go into the paranormal. Um, and so yeah, so Kevin, tell us why are you someone we should listen to when it comes to the paranormal?
Well, I've been investigating the paranormal since 2005-ish. I joined a team. I was with, I'm not going to name the name of the team or anything, but I joined the team, investigated with them, and I didn't like how they ran things. I felt like a couple of things were off, the way they handled things. So that uh, positioned me to create my own team. So with Jonathan, the co-founder of Kappa, we got together one day and we were like, hey, let's just make our own team and investigate our way, the way we feel like it should be, the paranormal should be investigated. So we did that in 2008. We have formed the Carolina Association of Paranormal Activity then, if I can talk right. Um, so we were based in North Carolina. And then in 2010, I had moved to Florida. And the next year, I met you, actually. And at that point, Kappa was on hiatus. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to rename the team and start from scratch, the Coastal Atlanta Paranormal Association. And we've been going strong since 2008. I've investigated countless locations from residential to businesses to jails, battleships. I mean, you name it, we've pretty much done it all. I mean, we've pretty much done it all together too. Um, I mean, with this much history into the paranormal, I believe I hate to use the word seasoned and no one in this field is an expert, but you do tend to have a specialization in the field or whatnot. I believe I'm very knowledgeable. We're knowledgeable. So, I believe whatever topics that we're going to discuss on this show, we have the history and the knowledge to talk about it and put the facts out there, have fun doing it. And just do the show our way, because there's plenty of paranormal podcasts, paranormal shows out there, but not one quite like I think we could put together. So here we are. And what about you?
Yeah,
Answer
well,
your own question.
well, a lot of our history intertwines, but uh, I remember I got into the paranormal about 11, 12 years old. I remember watching an episode of Ghost Hunters, um, and going, wow, I didn't know these things actually existed. And I just found it fascinating. So, ended up taking my mom's video camera uh, out to the cemeteries near my house. Um, Started my own team in high school. I didn't know what I was doing, of course, but it was all in
We
good
never do
spirit.
when we first start.
Exactly. I'm just going to cemeteries with, a digital camera, and hoping maybe I'll experience something with some friends. And luckily, I did that throughout high school, and it was fun. We I ended up, by the grace of God, apparently, getting a job at Walmart where we ended up meeting a long time ago. And I remember one day, just having a discussion about the paranormal and learning that we were both very interested in it. Um, and that was basically where Kappa came back into everything. And um, we've worked together a lot. He said a lot of the same places, a lot of different jails. Jails seem to be our specialty at the
Yeah, it seems like it.
been there a lot. The battleship, specifically Battleship North Carolina, which
Yeah,
returning to soon. We'll talk about that at some point, I'm sure. Uh,
yeah,
you know, to helping clients. And it doesn't just, it also stems from our passion for kind of everything, I guess, mysterious. I know we both had that have great interest in cryptids, which
hmm
I will definitely talk about as well. Extraterrestrials. I mean, these are all things that are very fascinating, and things I hope that we will cover during our podcast. But you know, I have a passion for this, a passion to not only grow the field, but to show my way and show my thinking. And this is why I'm happy to be part of this podcast, where people can see where my thinking is, where your thinking is, and we can communicate with other people that have the same interest.
right. Yeah,
But
it's funny you brought up like extraterrestrials or whatnot because that's how I got into it because of the X-Files. And a lot of people will, I used to be embarrassed to tell people like because they would ask, well, how did you get into it? Because you see all these investigators or whatever on TV, and they're like, oh, I had this personal experience when I was young. I was tormented by demons at my doorway. I watched the X-Files when I was 12, and my dad was a cop. My dad's been a cop my whole life. And when I was 12, I remember going to my dad and be like, hey, can you help me get into the FBI when I get older? Because I want to work on the X-Files. And he's like, well, that doesn't exist. You don't know that.
right,
I was like, they're not going to tell you,
right,
but now, yeah, a lot of people, because I mean, like you said, like you watched Ghost Hunters one day and it sparked your interest, but I watched the X-Files and, extraterrestrials and, cryptids, all those things that were on the show because they were more into that than they were necessarily ghosts on the show.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, they had hauntings or whatnot, but it was mostly UFOs and, follow motor story. But that I
Right,
was fascinated. And I actually had an experience when I was 15 or so where I saw what I could only explain as a UFO. Me and my buddy were outside. I was walking him home. He lived a couple houses down, and we were going to his house, and it was, I don't know, 9:30, 10 o'clock or whatnot. And there was this thing right above the tree line, and it was cylinder, like up and down. It wasn't like the classic saucer shape or flat or triangle or anything like that. It was like cylinder up and down. It had a red light up top and then like a white light on the bottom. And it was just like hovering right above the tree line, maybe 2 football fields away from us. It was very close. And it seemed like it landed in the woods behind our house. And I'm like, hey, do you see that? He's like, yes, I gotta go. And he just took off running home. And I'm standing there looking at it. And then the next day, we were like, hey, you remember that thing we saw last night? Let's go walk through the woods and see if we could see something.
right,
But didn't find anything. But, ever since then, him and I would kind of like go through the woods and see if we could find anything that was, some sort of evidence from that or the local, legends around town. Every town just about or every county it seems has like a ghost light from the railroad tracks.
sure.
So we would go down there and try to do that and see what we could see. But it just like it's funny how people get into it, and like I said, I was always embarrassed to say, oh, the X-Files, but that's what got me into it. And I've had experiences since then, but it was always while investigating.
Right, right. I mean, yeah. I mean, we all have our different paths that led us um into I'm gonna say into the paranormal. I guess it fits, right? But it's
Yeah.
true. Like some people, like yours is X-Files. Mine was Ghost Hunters, and I was always embarrassed to say that one of them was most haunted because the show isn't exactly the peak of paranormal investigation excellence, but it was
Yeah.
entertaining and made me think. Um,
Yeah.
so that um, some people have a personal experience that makes them get into it. There's so many different things.
Yeah. But I guess like the real important thing is, you got to this point, regardless of how you got there, and our journey is still, miles in front of us.
I
So,
mean, absolutely. Um, and for anyone that wants to see what I think is pretty cool, two pretty cool things. Check out, I think Facebook and is it Coastal Atlantic Paranormal Association.com? Is
it's
that the
Kappa
website?
Paranormal.
Kappa Paranormal .com. The Facebook page has an hour long live video from we went to the Battleship North Carolina and had some cool things happen. That's something you'd want to check out. And also on that page is the coolest piece of evidence that I think is in existence. And I've said that many times. I'm a little biased, but um, I think
Yeah,
it's
one of the clearest EVPs.
yeah, it not only is it clear, it's in the intelligence.
Yeah,
It's something that has left me
the
speechless.
feeling behind it. Because you have EVPs that are clear, you have EVPs that are intelligent, but the feeling behind it,
There
you
was
know?
emotion.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
it
Uh,
was, you could tell it was like in thought, you know, because what the EVP is. So we were at a location, Corey, myself, Tracy, and Julie. Yes, there were two females, but Tracy had her headphones on with the SB11 Spirit Box, and she had her back to us, and she wasn't talking at all. And Julie was right by the window, and we were talking about the sunset or the sunrise over the bay, and we were talking about it looking pretty through the window, the view that you would have as the sun's coming up over the water. And as we're talking, Julie is saying, "I bet that is pretty," or something like that. And then right as Julie is talking, the female comes out and talks over her and says, "That does sound pretty." But it's just like, like I could just picture a woman in period dress from that era, early 1900s, just kind of like beside Julie and saying, "You know what? That does sound pretty. I'd like to see that."
and
It
it's
was just, it gives you goosebumps,
I got him right now just thinking about it. I think it's different. You can, and I know other people that will probably scrutinize it and that's got to be
Of course,
somebody, right? And that's good. Skepticism is healthy. We need skepticism
question
in this
everything.
field. Um, I see too many people posting on Facebook. They circle something and say there's a child here, and there's there's nothing there,
Yeah.
which is fine. You know, just be ready for criticism. And people would criticize that and say, "Oh, well, you sure no one said anything?" I mean, it's in other recorders where there's nothing caught. There are other recorders going. So and we were there. you know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's the same with other teams where I look at it and I go, you sure? You sure? And
Right.
they're probably like, well, I was there, I know. And that's just I think that's the hardest thing too, right? Because it's hard to prove evidence to ourselves in the field. It's really hard to try to get a skeptic to go listen to this.
Yeah,
Um,
especially a skeptic that wasn't there, that wasn't present.
right. And I think if there was anyone that was a skeptic who was there when we recorded that, they I feel like they would have a harder time trying to figure out what it was.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, to me, that's the best piece of evidence, and you can check that out on the Coastal Atlantic Paranormal Association's Facebook page. Go ahead and give them a follow over there. I am a part-time member of Kappa. I'm not full-time with Kappa anymore, but um, I know that Kappa's got a bright future ahead of it. A lot of new, I wouldn't say new, but I guess technically new people that have come on the team that are fantastic.
Yeah, we got a couple new members.
And they seem, I was lucky enough to meet one of them a few weeks ago when I was invited out, and really when you meet people that make a team click, especially when it can be a struggle. We don't get paid to do what we do, so it can be hard to
Yeah.
find people that want to do it in their spare time and not make a buck off of it. But
Well,
as you
lose
said,
money, actually. Yeah, I mean, everything we do, we lose money technically.
oh yeah, yeah. If this is not a good business
No,
model at all,
yeah,
we do it for people and passion, and I truly think um we did an investigation, and was last year at some time, in Orange, Florida. I won't go, but we did investigation. You can see some videos from that one as well on the Facebook page. Um, that we were able to verify, years and years of experiences this family had had, um, with some really great EVPs and personal experiences, and just to see that, making a client happy, that they're like, wow, this is
yeah,
and research that we're able to bring them to, is saying, hey, here's some, physical, um, research and evidence of what happened at your property is
yeah.
really
It's really cool when you can like bring evidence to a client and you can see it on their face when they're like, finally, I'm not crazy,
right.
like this is actually happening. And then we can help them through the process of that, or whatever it may be. And some clients are just happy to know they're not crazy and they can coexist with ghosts.
Absolutely, and there have been times where it's they're happy that we didn't find much, and we were able to debunk um
Hmm.
things, whether it be, at another private investigation we did years back, we found that there was a high EMF field right where they were seeing a shadow, and correlate things like that, and that feels just as good as catching evidence.
Hmm. Because you're
I-
still bringing that satisfaction to the client.
Absolutely, and that's really what it's about, getting to the bottom
That
of
sense of
something,
relief.
and right, and they're like, oh, okay, this is, not anything crazy or dangerous, or which is good. That's
Yeah.
really what it's about. Of course, there's also the thrill of it. Um, but talking about
Oh yeah, that's
clients
what we
too,
get out of it too.
back to the clients real quick. You do have clients that are happy. Um, that maybe they expected more, or you didn't bring them you know what you wanted. But that is, I mean, I think it's almost in any field you can't please everyone, and in this field, if it's,
In
I
this field
can't fake
especially,
something that's not there, and I'm not going to.
right? We can only bring what our evidence shows.
Right.
If
And,
you're
and
claiming your or you see your refrigerator door open every day at 11:58 p.m. and it happens like clockwork. So we come in, we set up, cameras on it, we sit here and watch it. 11:57, 11:58, 11:59. It doesn't happen. It didn't happen for us,
right,
And some clients that will get upset. Oh, well, because blah 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 blah. And we can only give you what we capture. I mean, I'm not gonna blow smoke and say, oh, well, I definitely believe your place is haunted because you say this. It very well may be,
right,
but it didn't happen for us.
right.
So,
And we, I think, have both always been very well, two things. One, we're very scientifically based. We don't, not that I don't believe that mediums and psychics are real. I do think to an extent they absolutely are. And but I don't think in most cases they can really help prove or disprove what we're doing. Um, now I'm all for having a medium investigate with me sometime, and if I can, to correlate things, I think that's something to do. But I don't think
Right.
you can't rely on just a medium or psychic saying this is here. Um, if I don't have that proof, and you're very, and it's true, just because it could happen 364 days a year at midnight every night, and that 365th day, well, that's the day we came.
Yeah.
No.
And that's just the name of the game. We're happy to come back.
Yeah, yeah. If people still feel uncomfortable, um, you know, uh, that's what we're there to do. That's what we're here to do. Um, well, we do as much as we can. Everyone here, and with Kappa, and as with the case with a lot of other teams that exist out there, this is a hobby. This is a part-time job, basically. We all work full-time, have families. It can be hard to find time. I think you watch on TV, and 2 days later they're back with everything reviewed, and they're like, "This is what we found." That's just not reality.
Right. Yeah. That's the power of editing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. That review, depending on the location and the time of the investigation or how much hours you put in the investigation, can take weeks. If we're at a place a couple of days and we're there all night, we have an 8-channel DVR system that's going the entire time we're there. And I mean, I watch the DVR and I watch one camera at a time, so that's hours upon hours of video alone. Every recorder going, we'll do burst sessions, but sometimes we'll lay a digital recorder somewhere static and just let it run all night or until the battery is drained. And that's 6 hours, 8 hours of audio just on one recorder. Now imagine you had 5 recorders running, you know?
Exactly, exactly. We just, of course, for anyone that doesn't know, Kappa is based out of pretty much Florida and Georgia, that basic area. We Was it last weekend or the week, but
Weekend
weekend
before.
before we were um, a very well known, it's the old Hamilton County Jail. Many paranormal investigators have um, been through there, and we had a static recorder set up for 6 hours, uh, and I'm still going through. It's
Yeah,
it
because,
just takes
when
some
we're not
time.
investigating, we're working.
Exactly. It's it's like working a part-time job that that takes money from you, but that's okay. Because I like this part-time job. I actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
And hopefully I'd love to inspire, or people to, if it's something you love to do, you don't have to join a team. If you're somewhere that doesn't have a team, start your own. I mean, you don't have to have all these gizmos and gadgets, a recorder, digital camera. Sometimes that's really all you need. I'm glad we have the tools that we have, but it doesn't take much. And I still think EVPs and video evidence are my two favorite kinds of evidence. Uh,
Yeah, if I had to lose all the equipment that I do have and I still had my digital recorder, I'd be happy.
yeah, even though I do think we have to say RIP. Um, did
Yeah.
I know good old, probably one of the more respected brands If Olympus ever hears this, we'll totally take a sponsorship, by the way. But Olympus has always been one of the brands that we trust, and I've seen a lot of different teams. I think they would say the same thing. But how long have you had that specific recorder now?
14 years.
14 years. And
Yeah.
as of 2 weeks ago, it passed away.
Just would not cut on with fresh batteries.
But
Batteries twice and it didn't cut on. But
and however, things come back to life. We
yeah,
know
it
you
could
had
resurrect.
that EM pump,
Oh God.
which
Yeah.
which is
It died again though. It was short-lived the second time around.
well, just the fact that after that many, almost what, 10 years
Yeah.
of it not working, it worked for even a small amount of time is crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about the podcast, why we're here, what we're going
Yeah,
to be talking about,
yeah,
so they can have like an idea what to look forward to. As
absolutely.
you said in the beginning, we're going to be talking about cryptids, we're going to be talking about cases, we're going to be talking about different forms of hauntings. Um, we'll be taking viewer and listener requests. I think Corey's okay with that. I just kind of threw
Absolutely.
that out there.
Absolutely. No,
And we'd
I'll
like
have
to hear your
everything.
stories too.
Yeah, and we'll have everything linked also to the how you can reach out to us via email. We have our Facebook, the Into the Paranormal Podcast. Our email is IntoTheParanormalPod, POD, at gmail.com. So if you have suggestions or anything, or even evidence that you think would be cool for us to talk about, you know,
Yeah,
so you can
that'd
send
be
it to
cool.
that. Reach out to us. This is a podcast about the paranormal.
For the paranormal.
And
About the paranormal, for the paranormal.
by the paranormal. I think
Yeah.
people would call us paranormal sometimes.
We're a paranormal guys.
I would say so.
That was a dad joke.
Uh,
We're a pair of normal guys.
pair of no, they see. I didn't even get that. I like that.
Yeah.
And it. I would love to hopefully have guests at some point
Yeah.
too. We'll see who you know. Who'd want to come on and talk. I have some ideas already in my head about who I'd love to see come and talk to us. And who knows, maybe we'll get lucky. Um,
Yeah.
but that really depends on the people watching and what continue to give us any ideas. Uh, we'll talk about. We could have episodes about certain mysteries that might have paranormal explanations. Um, things like that.
That's probably bad. But yeah, I mean, for the viewers listening or watching, what's your area known for? Give us some local haunts, some local legends, and we'll talk about them on the show.
Absolutely, and that's the thing.
I love hearing about stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah, local, and those are things that everyone knows Sasquatch and the Jersey Devil and Chupacabra. Not everyone knows about the Lamb of Tartar, which we might do an episode on that. So I'm not going to go into that. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
There's some crazy local legends out there that we've never heard of because they're local to your area. So yeah,
Right.
we definitely want to hear what happens in your neck of the woods, 100%. Or, is there a haunted location in your area that you have an experience at? Things that you want to hear about. We're here to not only for our benefit to talk and to talk about what we love, but to entertain and educate other people.
Yep. So we look forward to hearing from you. Um, yeah, I think that's a pretty good first episode. What do you think?
I think so. I think we went in and pretty much talked about everything we needed to. Nice opening uh, uh, statement so everyone knows who we are. But definitely hit up our Gmail. I will have everything in the show and descriptions below. And you know, like, follow, share, subscribe, do all that wonderful stuff. We're going to try to put these podcasts out once a week once we get going. It'll be fun. And hopefully you guys will follow us, as we say, into the paranormal.
Yeah. And if you feel your home or business is haunted, visit www.kappaparanormal.com.
Wonderful. Everybody, have a great night and stay spooky.